Today's video is on the top 5 most freaky statues.
Number 5. The Awakening. The Awakening by J. Seward Johnson Jr. is a 70-foot-long sculpture of a giant struggling to emerge from the earth. It was installed in National Park in Washington back in 1980 as a part of a citywide art exhibition, but it was only supposed to stay there temporarily. The pure agony on the sculpture giant's face makes one wonder what the artist's intention was for creating this piece. The sculpture consists of 5 separate aluminum pieces that are buried in the ground, thus giving the impression that the full body is hidden beneath the surface. And while the meaning of this statue is still a mystery, there's no denying that this giant in distress is a rather creepy sight. After 27 years in Washington, the cast aluminum sculpture was bought for $750,000 and was relocated to the National Harbor in Prince George's County, Maryland. It is now part of a multi-use waterfront development along the Potomac River. Number 4. Tumaia-Tua statues, the island of Nuku Hiva, French Polynesia. While there are a lot of instances where weird alien-looking statues are made by ancient civilizations, the statues of Tumaia-Tua are something else entirely. Located in the Pacific Ocean, the island of Nuku Hiva, the largest of the Marquesas Islands in French Polynesia, is home to statues that have recently made a buzz in the archaeological world. Tumaia-Tua statues were most likely used for religious practices. They seem to depict some sort of reptilian bug-eyed creatures with weird-looking, haunting eyes. According to recent studies, the first settlers came to the island of Nuku Hiva almost likely from Samoa over 2,000 years ago, which makes the design choice of these statues rather odd. While of course theories have already circulated about these statues being depictions of the omnipotent reptilian overlords, the most likely conclusion from an archaeological perspective seems to be an act of imagination from the settlers, coupled with a great degree of isolation. Whatever the case, you have to admit that these things look creepy. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe to our channel with notifications on. Number 3. Man Attacked by Babies, Oslo, Norway. The Vigeland installation is a sculpture area in Frogner Park in Oslo, Norway that covers 80 acres in total. It features 212 bronze and granite sculptures that were created by Norwegian sculptor Gustav Vigeland. It's the largest sculpture park in the world by a single artist. The collection has been dubbed by some media outlets as the weirdest statues in the world. There is, however, one statue in particular that stands out from the other oddities. It's a bronze statue from 1930 that depicts a naked man trying to protect himself against 4 naked babies. It may sound weird, but this is actually an actual statue that you can see on display. While a translated version of the Vigeland website calls this piece "Man Chasing 4 Geniuses," it's commonly been referred to as "Man Attacked by Babies." The babies that are attacking the man are supposedly a horde of evil spirits. No one is sure why the evil spirits are represented by a horde of babies, but it sure makes for a striking piece of art. Number 2. The Crone of the Catskills, the Catskills Mountains, New York, USA. In early 2016, a Reddit user by the name of Wigged Hiker Thruway, who later identified as Danny, posted a rather creepy story to Reddit's paranormal subreddit that sent chills down the spines of all who read it. He claimed that a friend of his was being haunted by a malevolent spirit, and after being driven insane by the spirit's activities, they were turning to the subreddit in hope of getting answers. Of course, the people of Reddit wanted to know more information, so Danny explained best he could. He said that he and his friend had gone hiking in the Catskills Mountains in southeastern New York. They stopped upon a cave which had a fire of embers still burning. Inside the cave was a mysterious statue with nails driven into its eyes and a noose around its neck. Simply put, there was a strong indication that the statues had ties to voodoo. Danny's friend was intrigued by the curious thing and took it home. A couple of days later, he noticed that the statue would move around by itself, disturb his sleep, and also let out a bad odor in his home. People in the comments section were advising that they should probably return the statue to where it came from and apologize for taking it. One of the users, who owns a museum dedicated to all things paranormal, offered to take the statue off Danny's friend's hands. Hoping to catch the statue in action, the museum set up an overnight camera to see what they could ascertain, and sure enough, the statue seemed to wiggle. Number 1. The Child Eater Fountain, Bern, Switzerland. The Child Eater Fountain, also known as the Child Eater of Bern, is a fountain sculpture located in Switzerland that was built in 1546. It's one of the oldest fountains in the city of Bern. Hans Geying, a Swiss Renaissance sculptor, created it to replace an old wooden fountain from the 15th century. Initially, the fountain was called Platzbrunnen, Plaza Fountain in English, but the name was changed in 1666 to Kindlefresserbrunnen, which translates to the Fountain of Eater of Little Children. It's pretty easy to see why it's called that. It features an ogre relaxing in the sitting position, eating a child, and at his side is a bag which contains even more terrified children for his consumption. A frieze featuring armed bears rushing around, ready to go to war, surround the bottom of the already weird sculpture. The frieze is thought to have possibly been designed by Hans Rudolf Manuel Deutsch. While no one really knows why this fountain was erected, there are 3 theories. The first is that the Child Eater was sadly built as a warning to the Jewish community of Bern. The second theory is that the statue is a depiction of the Greek titan Kronos, who ate all his children to keep them from taking over his throne. The last theory is that the Child Eater is the oldest brother of the founder of Bern. Legend has it that he was so jealous of his younger brother that he went into a full rage and ate all the children in town. Whatever the reason for its construction, it's a truly terrifying statue. As such, it earns a top spot on our list of the top 5 freaky statues. As our honorable mentions, we have the statues that are not necessarily creepy, but that have apparently caught moving. The Twirling Egyptian Statue. In 2013, an ancient Egyptian statue in the possession of the Manchester Museum in England started to do some odd things right under the employees' noses. The statue of a man named Neb Senu appeared to be moving on its own throughout the day. The movement would also stop at nighttime, which managed to freak out a lot of people. This particular statue was created around 1800 BC as a medium for the soul of this Egyptian man. The movement went unnoticed until one day the museum's Egyptologists thought something seemed off and decided to play back the security footage. What he noticed came as a total shock. The statue was clearly spinning in its case. What makes it most unsettling is that the statue had been in the museum for 80 years without ever behaving like this. Experts then decided to monitor the room on time-lapse video and were astonished to see how clearly it showed the statuette spinning 180 degrees without anyone going near it. There were several theories about how this was possible. One was that the museum's curator had secretly been moving it throughout the day and editing himself out of the footage. Another idea was that there was a curse brought upon by the mummy that the statue was stolen from. No matter what your theory may be, you've got to admit that this is super creepy. Buddha statues moving. According to over 100 eyewitnesses, several Buddha statues in the Puziang Service Center of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, became oddly animated during a Buddhist service. In these real videos, several Buddha statues have had the appearance of moving. They seem to be moving their lips, chest, hands, and in some cases, there have even been reports of the Buddha statues blinking. According to people on the scene, these statues originally emitted light from their bodies, and they later went on to make sounds, and they finally began to move. To date, no one has been able to scientifically explain or debunk the videos that show this strange occurrence.
I hope you all enjoyed today's video, narrated by Zach this time. Be sure to subscribe for more and check out some of our recent uploads.